What's going on, guys? Welcome into the Chiefs Zone podcast. Happy Monday to all of you. My name is Farzin Vasugian. We are here back on the Chiefs Zone podcast. Hope you're all having a great start to your week. A lot of news and notes to go over here with the Kansas City Chiefs. We do have a little bit of an update on Xavier Worthy since we've last done a podcast. Andy Reid spoke to the media today and gave a little bit of an update on Xavier Worthy and what to expect moving forward with him. Andy also reacted to the tier tart slap, which is continuing to get discussion and conversation. He had some interesting things to say about that. I'll share that with you in a moment. The Chiefs are last place in the AFC West. Sole possession of last place in the AFC West, if you can even call it that. Everyone's having a big parade over that. That's a lot of fun. I'll give you guys some of my thoughts from week one and all the action we saw on NFL Sunday. Plus, we'll talk a little bit about the Philly game here, as you know, the Chiefs haven't played in a few days, so we're kind of further away from Kansas City's week one game as we are getting basically preparing for week two now at this point. And there is a little bit of an announcement involving Kansas City's next international game that could come as early as 2026. I'll share you that update later on in the podcast. If you guys like this podcast, if you guys enjoy all the content we're bringing to you, please share this, let your friends know about it. All of the comments, the likes, the shares, all the content interaction you guys provide on here, that helps out and goes a very long way. And you guys are already doing that. If you guys can continue to do that, that would help out a lot. In the first week, we had the biggest first week we've ever had. And I say that every single year, and it gets better and better every year. And that's all thanks to you guys. And I greatly appreciate all of that. Big thanks to you guys for a great first weekend. Obviously, we didn't get to enjoy it with a victory. But hey, when you guys are helping out the podcast, that really does go a long ways. And that really does mean a lot. So thank you guys so much for all of that. By the way, I don't usually address things like this, but I'll do it real quickly. For people who want to bitch and moan on my social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, wherever, if you do not like my content, you guys have seen me respond to a lot of people in this manner. There are a lot of content creators who will beg for you to not unfollow them. I'm the opposite. You do not like anything I post, cool. I mean, you have a different expectation, a different taste for what kind of content you want, fine. I will encourage you to unfollow me or block if you have to. If you're one of those non-Chiefs fans, you're welcome on the page. No one's ever going to be told to go away. That runs the page. But if you're going to bitch and moan about how I'm a Chiefs fan posting about other teams, which I do because I'm a football fan, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you're the one that's forcing yourself to comment on my content. I'll never understand the stupidity of some people who I get the social media algorithm, how it works. I've been told many times that the algorithm loves to push my content out there. So obviously I've got a good relationship with the algorithm. Thanks to you guys. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, you guys keep sharing all that stuff. That helps out a lot. But no one's ever held gunpoint or forced into a headlock to comment on any of my stuff, at least not that I'm aware of. Listen, I see a lot of stuff that comes across my social media timeline, a lot of stuff I don't even like. I don't even bother commenting on it. I just scroll and move on. Some of you guys do not have that capability. Some of you guys don't have the thick skin to just move on, which is fine by me. You guys are, listen, I think you guys all know how content creators make a living. I'll never complain about you guys complaining on my social media, but I'm just letting you know you're doing me a favor. So please keep commenting. I always love when people like, there was a Bills fan last night, apparently, commenting about Sunday Night Football because that's the standalone game. Apparently posting about that means I'm obsessed with the Bills, which is interesting. Not to mention I had a take that didn't age well. But dude, you're going to comment and say I'm obsessed with the Bills, but you're going to comment 10 times on my posts. Again, you're doing me a favor. This is not me upset with what you're doing. No, you're doing me a favor. Please keep it going. But I just have to get that out there. Normally, I don't address these kinds of clowns, but it's always funny to see that kind of thing. Sandy says, easy to have a big mouth when you're anonymous online. Yeah, those people are the best. Those are the best. It's kind of like that clown in Buffalo last night that was shoving DeAndre Hopkins, and then Lamar Jackson thought that, no player is going to react because players have to be above certain guidelines and whatnot. And Lamar certainly put that guy in his place, literally in his place. Yeah, that's a lot of people on the internet for you. But again, what do I know? I'm the type of guy who just scrolls on by if I don't like something. That's just me, though. Before we go any further, I want to let you know this podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. That's where I go to for all of my sports ticketing needs, concerts, whatever it is you want to attend. And by the way, this Sunday is the Arrowhead season opener for the Chiefs, Arrowhead home opener, I should say. The Chiefs will take on the reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles in a big Super Bowl rematch. That's going to be a lot of fun. Already we're seeing the betting lines and all these other things out there. But if you guys want to attend that game or any other football action, NFL, college football, any sports that you want to attend, SeatGeek is the place where I go. And if you're a new customer, you can go to the checkout after you pick your tickets and put in my promo code FARZINE, and you'll save $20 off your first order from SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com, pick your tickets, and at checkout, put in my promo code FARZINE, and you will save $20 off your first order from SeatGeek. Breaking news. This is just coming down the wire here from Ian Rappaport, Jordan Schultz, all the insiders. The Eagles are trading for Jacksonville Jaguars running back Tank Bigsby for a 5th and a 6th rounder for next year. So the Eagles are adding to their running back room after week 1, and it appears that the Chiefs may have a chance at facing Tank Bigsby, 3rd round pick in 2023. And obviously things have just not worked out very well in Jacksonville for the last few years. If you're just looking at some of his numbers just this past week against Carolina, he had 5 carries for 12 yards. One of them was for a first down. Last year played 16 games, started one of them, ran for 766 yards, had more than 4.5 yards per carry. The year before, not as good, 50 attempts, 132 yards, averaging almost 2.5 yards, a little over 2.5 yards per carry. So there is a possibility that Bigsby is someone who the Chiefs might face in Sunday's game. A lot of times when you see players get traded, like on a Monday or a Tuesday, you don't know if that player is going to be available for that upcoming game, but I guess we shall see in the near future. Okay, a lot of things we have to go over here. There are a lot of rumors regarding Tyreek Hill, and I do want to get into that later on, but the big update that you guys want to hear, if you haven't heard already, Andy Reid spoke to the media today. So I'll just read word for word what he said in the quote here. This is from Matt McMullen saying that I know Xavier is the big question. He's rehabbing and working his shoulder. We'll see where it goes day by day here. Day by day, folks. We'll see where we end up. Day by day or day to day. Yeah, that the words day to day or day by day, that those are not words you want to hear in Kansas City. Everyone remembers Eric Berry was day to day for, what was it, 14 weeks, 15 weeks? Yeah, everyone was wondering when the hell he was going to come back. Felt like forever, because at the time he had missed more than a year of football at that point. It was weird, but look, I get a little nervous with these kinds of injuries and how the Chiefs handle them because we saw the Eric Berry one in 2018, Hollywood Brown last year, McCole Hardman a couple of years ago. I'm not sure what we can realistically expect. Ian Rappaport posted yesterday morning that he has a dislocated shoulder, but is still going through more tests and more opinions and whatnot, which is normal protocol when an athlete is trying to weigh all of their options here. But it really sounds like Xavier Worthy's not expected to miss too much time. If you just do basic research, and I know every player will not react the same, not every player will react the same to the same injury. The normal recovery process in terms of length for a dislocated shoulder is 4 to 6 weeks. Without surgery, that is. If that's the case, Xavier Worthy could come back around the same time as Rashee Rice. Now, in Andy Reid's press conference today, he said day to day, and he gave another answer saying, well, if he's going to be available, he'll be available. If not, we have a lot of guys we like and guys who got a lot of playing time last week. Obviously referring to the fact that Worthy got hurt very early in the game and that to rely on some guys on that depth chart there. I don't know, man. Again, like I said, I get a little skeptical with the Chiefs because of the way they've handled certain injuries in the past. And I think with Rick Burkholder, he has not always gotten a pleasant grade on those NFLPA report cards. I get a little nervous. But Andy Reid, the way he made it sound like this doesn't seem like a long-term injury. And if that's the case, that might be a big win for Kansas City here. I don't know what to expect, but boy, do they need Xavier Worthy right now. And I put a video earlier today on YouTube talking about the whole incident and how Worthy and Kelsey collided. But man, Kansas City just hasn't had good luck with receivers staying healthy. Good receivers too. I saw BSO on Twitter say that even when Worthy, Rice, and Hollywood Brown, when they're all healthy, that's not really the murderer's row of wide receivers. I mean, okay, listen, none of those guys have made an all-pro. I don't think Hollywood Brown's ever made an all-pro before in his career. But I've got to push back. I mean, if all three of those guys are available and healthy, that is a damn good receiving trio to have. We saw what Rice did last year. I know it was a very small sample size, but from what we saw, that dude looked like he had been in the NFL a long time. He did not look like someone coming off a rookie season. Xavier Worthy had that nice growth during the second half of the season. Hollywood Brown, again, I know the big if is if he stays healthy, but the Chiefs feel like it is worth the risk to have re-signed him, which is what they did back, I think, in March or April. I don't remember the exact date. I think it was March. So the Chiefs are obviously very high on these receivers here, especially the trio, how close they are, the amount of work they put in. They spend a lot of time in OTAs and training camp together. And the hope is that these three will be available at the same time for more than one snap, and they can show what they're capable of. We saw Hollywood get a lot of work in this game. The most catches he's had in a single Chiefs game. I know he hasn't played many. He played a couple of regular season games, and then beyond that, was available for the playoffs. But man, this is one of those things where it sounds like Worthy's not expected to be out for a long period of time. And if that's the case, that's great news. If Hollywood Brown can stay healthy, and I know that's a big if, that'd be huge. The problem here now is you knew a suspension was coming for Rice. You just didn't know when. I know there were all these different talks about possibly being next year because a legal case was still supposed to go on, but I'm just glad it's happening now just to get it over with and have it in the rearview mirror, because right now with Rice and Worthy, those are supposed to be your primary receivers. but Rice is dealing with a suspension. Worthy just got hurt. Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster were supposed to provide depth for the receiving core. And now those might be your number 1 and 2 wide receivers moving forward. I mean, this really does put a little bit of pressure on Jalen Royals. And I know he's dealing with knee tendonitis. Seems to be more serious than we thought. But you really hope he comes back soon and is going to be 100% full go, because, man, this receiving core is already thin, just like that. I don't know what the Chiefs are going to do moving forward if Worthy has to go on IR. They haven't made that move yet. Usually they wait until Friday or Saturday to make that move if they need to with the IR. But as of right now, Worthy is on the active roster and is expected to not be out for a long time. Andy Reid did not give a timetable, nor will he, I don't think. But it does appear that Kansas City might be getting good news on this here. John says, don't forget Tyquan Thornton. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm excited for Tyquan Thornton and to see what he does. Also, I don't know why, but it says, John, your comment was at 2:09 a.m. Obviously, it's not 2:09 a.m. It's 6:59 p.m. So I don't know what's up with that. But the whole deal with Tyquan Thornton, he had a couple of catches in the first half, but they didn't go his direction anymore in the second half. I'd like to see him get more involved. I certainly do. I think he can do some good things for your offense. And if Worthy's going to be out for a few games, that might be something to just be aware of. Oh, by the way, I know Andy Reid not going to always provide a lot of details with these things, but the NFL insiders usually do. Adam Teicher was on McAfee's show today, and his words were that Worthy is expected to miss a little bit of time. So more additional information there on Worthy is that he's not expected to be out for too long. So hopefully that's yeah. For some reason, your tweets show 2:09 a.m. I don't know why. Yeah, a lot of people are commenting through Twitter now. That's good to see. I think a majority of our viewers are through Twitter or X. We're getting more on YouTube and on Facebook, and I greatly appreciate all of you who are doing that. Again, anytime you guys get an opportunity to share and do all of that, that really helps out and certainly means a lot. So I do appreciate you guys. Cameron has a really valid point here. I did not mention this. I think I mentioned this Friday night after the game. Go with the cheaper option and just sign Allen Robinson. Yeah, he doesn't have the speed of Worthy or Hill, but he's not. He's got good size and hands. Yeah, I was a huge fan of Allen Robinson when he was back in Jacksonville. Allen Robinson and Allen Hurns and Blake Bortles did pretty damn well with those. I thought those were two very underrated receivers in Jacksonville. I mean, listen, I know when people think about just football in general, and specifically offensive players, good receivers, nobody ever thinks about the Jacksonville Jaguars. No one. I feel like Allen Robinson was just his good career. I thought he had a solid, good career in Jacksonville, and that was just overshadowed because he was in Jacksonville. Sometimes that happens to good players. They do really well, and it just does not get recognized by anyone outside of that city. Excluding those who actually pay close attention to football all across the board. We'll get into the Tyreek Hill thing in a moment here, but I do want to comment on the Teair Tart situation. Andy Reid was asked about this. On the broadcast you heard them mention that an open hand slap does not result in an ejection, but if you close your fist and punch a guy, that warrants an ejection, which doesn't really make any sense to me. I mean, if you're hitting someone in the head, I think that's grounds for ejection. Closed-handed fist, open-handed fist, like, come on, what are we doing here? The NFL does have a very strong emphasis on sportsmanship. Sometimes players get physical and tangled up, and that leads to, a little bit of a sparring match, if you will. But if you punch or slap a player's helmet, you're a dumbass. I'm sorry. Like, you're doing more damage to yourself than you are. Like, Like, okay, maybe if he doesn't have the helmet on, you want to punch him. Okay, all right, go have yourself an MMA match. But if you're going to punch someone when they have their helmet on, you're an idiot. Remember when the Chiefs were on Hard Knocks and Kyle Turley, I can't remember who the player was, but he got into a little bit of a scuffle in practice. And in his confessional, he's like, dude, you want to hit me and slap me when I have my helmet on? Go for it. Like, you're doing more damage to your hands than you are to my head. I mean, and it's true. Like, you can't. I know these guys are tough and all of that, but no amount of toughness makes it smart to hit or punch another player's helmet. Like, you have to be doing more damage to yourself when you do that kind of thing. But it is funny, the inconsistency with that. And of course, Tier Tart's having a fun time taunting Kelsey about this, saying, oh, I'm too swift even for Brazil. Obviously, a nice play on words there, I guess. Chargers fans are having fun with this. They have a mural of this now, assuming it's not AI or fake, a fake photo. They did this when Derwin James body slammed Travis Kelsey. Someone actually made a mural of this. Like, is this what Chargers fans celebrate? Is this what ringless fan bases celebrate? Funny enough, somebody on Twitter actually went to that Derwin James mural and just splashed a bunch of paint over the mural. I thought it was a Chiefs fan, apparently. And they quickly deactivated their account, but I thought that was hysterical. As far as, listen, the taunting thing, okay, I mean, listen, that's a little funny. Come on. Like on the social media reaction. But dude, you're Tier Tart. I had no idea who the hell you were before this game. I guarantee you there are a lot of the 11 Chargers fans who exist. I highly doubt they knew who Tier Tart was. Like, let's relax a little bit here. Chiefs are last place in the AFC West, so another parade's being had. Apparently, division winners and Super Bowl winners are determined in week 1. That's news to me, because I remember the last time the Chiefs started 0-1. What happened then? Oh, yeah, that's right. They led the league in drops and still found a way to win the Super Bowl. By the way, the Chiefs started 3-4 in 2021 and were solely in last place that year. What happened? They won the AFC West and they reached the AFC Championship game. Listen, Tom Brady and the Patriots have gotten off to a couple of slow starts. Remember 2014 when the Chiefs destroyed him in week 4 Monday Night Football? All of New England, media and fans, wrote them off and said, that, hey, this is done. It's over. We got to move on and turn the page. What do you know? They won a Super Bowl that year. Same thing in 2017. Chiefs go into Foxborough and embarrass the Patriots, especially in the fourth quarter, 21 unanswered points. And they started 2-2 that year. What happened? They won the Super Bowl that year. So let's relax a little bit. I mean, listen, I'll say this right now. I'm not too optimistic about Kansas City's chances. I think they do start 0-2 if I had to bet on it. But don't write this Chiefs team off. You know that they're not going to quit or roll over easily. We've discussed this already. So I'm not going to go over it all over again. Let's say the Chiefs do start 0-2, which is a possibility. Are we really writing this team off? Is this a team that, okay, they're just going to say, yeah, we're 0-2. We're going to give up here. No. Listen, I'm not really concerned. If you look at the week 1 action, and we'll go over week 1 in a moment here, but if you pay attention to some of the teams and how they were supposed to look, I mean, which NFL team in week 1, and again, I know it's just week 1, so no one's supposed to be crowned in week 1. You have a good idea of maybe what to expect, what the way things start, but what NFL team, specifically from the AFC, who can you say had a great offensive showing and a great defensive showing? I don't know if there's any team that really looked like that in week 1. I mean, the Bills and the Ravens, who just played each other, they just put up a bunch of points against each other. They both scored 40 points, 40 plus. Ravens scored 40, Bills scored 41. The Dolphins, oof, man, what happened to them? Remember that team that scored 70 on Denver They are far removed from that season. The Bengals, their defense actually came through, but it was also a lot of Cleveland beating themselves up. I mean, no, of all the AFC projected contenders, no one really stood out playing good football overall, offensively and defensively. That goes for the Chiefs, that goes for the Bills, that goes for the Ravens, goes for the Bengals, the Dolphins. Anyone that you think is a serious contender to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, none of them really stood out in week one. So if you're a Chiefs fan, that was not a good showing. And there's a chance that they could start 0-2. But I'm not losing sleep over how the Chiefs started things off here. Let's relax a bit. If they lose that week 3 game to the Giants, that's when I'll start to hit the panic button. But until I see that happen, I don't have a very serious concern about this team long term down the road for the season. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint here. If that was really how it went, we would just end the regular season right now. Obviously, after tonight's game, half the teams that are 1-0, you get to go to the playoffs, 16-team tournament. The other 16 teams 0-1, your season's over. But that's not how we determine seasons. Yeah, I know. When the Chiefs lose a game, it's a celebration for everyone involved, as it should be. I mean, listen, I've said this many, many times here, and you guys are probably sick and tired of me saying this because I sound like a broken record. In my lifetime, and in a lot of your guys' lifetimes, assuming a lot of you guys are in the Kansas City area, what's been the most successful sports product locally, college and professionally? It hasn't been the Chiefs, has not been the Royals. It's been KU basketball. KU basketball is always in the conversation for the national championship. Now, last year, obviously, if I recall, they finished the season unranked, right? But they started the season number 1. So KU, even though the last couple of years have not been their year, consistently, though, KU basketball has always been top tier. They've always been a powerhouse team, whether you love them or you hate them. So whenever KU loses a game on the road, what happens? Fans storm the court. Why do they storm the court? Because they beat KU. They beat a powerhouse program. They beat a team that's essentially like the New York Yankees or the Chiefs, essentially. I know some of you guys may not like that comparison, but let's be honest, that's really how it is. This is the treatment the Patriots got in the rare event they lost the football game. All 31 other NFL fan bases, they celebrated. They came together. I still remember when the Chiefs were playing the Patriots in the AFC Championship game, and on ESPN's website, when they used to do polls, I don't think they do them anymore, but they would do a poll, and you could go state by state, just kind of hover your mouse over each state and see how every state's voting. And the question was, who's going to win? Who do you think will win? Now, let's be honest. A lot of times when they ask who do you think will win, it's people answer it as who they want to win. Man, I was looking, obviously a lot of the Northeast region picked the Patriots, but outside of that, you had areas where you have a lot of Broncos fans, Chargers fans, Raiders fans picking Kansas City at that time. Now it's the other way around where Kansas City's now feeling the other side of it with the Patriots, what they dealt with. And now you're seeing, a division rival of the Giants. They'll probably root for the Giants more than the Chiefs because they want to see the Chiefs get dethroned. That's exactly how people felt about the Patriots, more so after those 3 Super Bowls in 4 years that they had. People got tired of seeing Tom Brady win so many times, and that's just the way it all went. So, Chiefs are in last place, and people are enjoying it because they know the Chiefs will hardly ever be in last place. This is a very rare occasion. Take screenshots, take your pictures, because that's not something you're going to see a whole hell of a lot. All right, let's recap some of the NFL Sunday action from week 1. Obviously, the game of the week. This could be the game of the year. I don't know. We might have a game of the year candidate from week one. Baltimore looked like a serious championship contender. They had full control of this game and really dominated the Bills in their own home stadium for 55 minutes. And then Derrick Henry fumbled. The win probability was at a 99.1% right before Derrick Henry's fumble. And from that point, every single thing went right for the Bills and every single thing went wrong for the Ravens. Baltimore's in postseason mode. They are in postseason form, y'all. It's weird because the Ravens scored 34 points in the first three quarters. By the time the fourth quarter started, Derrick Henry had well over 100 rushing yards. Zay Flowers had over 100 receiving yards. In fact, Derrick Henry surpassed the 100-yard rushing mark with 10 minutes to go in the second quarter. And I thought there was a serious chance he could break the single-game rushing record at the time. But Buffalo gradually started finding some answers here. And I think this goes to Josh Allen's credit because during the first half, Allen looked a lot like the Allen of old who was careless and reckless with the football. Then we started to see Allen in the way he had improved. Ever since Joe Brady became the offensive coordinator for the Bills, you've seen a much different Josh Allen. My biggest knock on Josh Allen has been lack of security with the football. And he's gotten a lot better about it in the last year and a half. And you saw him, 271 yards in the fourth quarter alone? I mean, that is insanity right there. So props to the Bills. They came back. And if you're the Ravens, listen, I think the Ravens still have a lot of good things to build off from this game. But man, you can't lose games like that, especially with the talent you have. There's no way you can allow this. No way. The biggest surprise to me coming out of week one was the Colts. They absolutely obliterated the Dolphins. I did not think there was a chance that the Colts would even beat the Dolphins. Some people thought there was a possibility, but no one expected 33-8 or anything remotely close to that. And the Dolphins, they got their 8-point touchdown in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, the game was already decided by then. It was not really out of hand in the first quarter, but in the second quarter, man, they just unleashed, scoring 17 points. Tua looked like a deer in the headlights. He looked like he had no idea where he was. Overthrowing passes, fumbling, just taking brutal hits in the pocket. Nothing was going to his way. And Tyreek Hill was visibly upset at one point on the side, or at least at one point that we saw on air. And what did I tell you guys? Because remember last year, the way the season ended, the Dolphins lost, and it was Tyreek Hill's first time in his career missing the playoffs. And the body language, his tone, his voice, everything in that post-game interview, press conference he was doing with the media in the locker room, he looked dejected. I had never seen Tyreek Hill like that, and we were familiar with him here in Kansas City. This guy's always upbeat, happy, energetic, even when things aren't really the greatest. But man, we saw he looked physically exhausted all of last year. And in that post-game interview he was doing, he even said, "I'm out." And then the week of the Super Bowl, when there's all that Super Bowl media week and a lot of players from all 30 other teams that are not participating in the Super Bowl, they're there as well. Tyreek Hill was basically on an apology tour. And I said at the time when Tyreek Hill made those comments after the loss to end their season, I said, look, could this be something like it's maybe the heat of the moment. You just lost. You're frustrated. It's your first time missing the playoffs. I pointed that out. But what I also said is you can't fake emotions like that. You don't have to have a psychology degree to know that. I mean, Tyreek Hill was visibly, emotionally, physically, like every facet you can think of, Tyreek Hill was just done. He was upset. He did not look like he wanted to be in Miami anymore. We saw him on social media last year post some of these weird cryptic messages and photos of his time in Kansas City. It's like, dude, what are you posting these Kansas City photos for? I know some players like to troll online because they know it draws a reaction from the media, but man, putting pictures of yourself with your previous team, that had a lot of people just asking all kinds of questions. And the way Tyreek Hill was upset in this game against the Colts on Sunday, I'm just looking at all of the reactions online. There are a lot of people who it's essentially a foregone conclusion. The idea that Tyreek Hill is getting traded back to Kansas City is a guarantee in a lot of people's minds. I know on social media I said it on everyone's minds. Maybe not the right word there, but it feels like 99% of the media and any fan that's on social media is convinced Tyreek Hill is coming back to Kansas City and that he's going to get traded back to the Chiefs. Could the Chiefs use him from a football standpoint? Yes, absolutely. Especially with the Worthy injury. I mean, I know the Chiefs are making it sound like it's nothing too serious and nothing too long term, but we've seen the Chiefs kind of make these errors with injuries before, so I'm not really. I can't give a full confidence on those comments there. I know Schefter said that it's going to be just a little bit of time. We'll see, but I don't know if the idea of Tyreek Hill coming back is even a realistic possibility. Look, I know everyone likes to play Madden and fantasy football and turn it into real life. There is something called a salary cap. I mean, Tyreek Hill is not like the odds of him coming back to Kansas City this year. I think is really low. I don't know if that's happening. If you just look at Tyreek Hill and his contract, and he when he got traded from the Chiefs to the Dolphins, he got a new deal, and he's already gotten another deal since then. What is it? A 3-year, $90 million deal. It started last year. It continues this year for year 2. There's a potential out this upcoming off season, but if there isn't one, he can continue for 2026. And he's got a cap hit of almost 52 million in 2026. Oh boy. Listen, here's my thing. Like I said, Tyreek Hill can certainly help this team out offensively. But when Tyreek Hill got traded from the Chiefs, one of the rumors was that he was upset during the 2021, early in the 2021 season, because he was not targeted heavily like the way he feels like he should have every single game. I mean, listen, you're Tyreek Hill. Sometimes you're going to attract a lot of attention defensively, and that's going to open up doors for other receivers. You also shared a field with an all-pro tight end in Travis Kelce. I mean, Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, both in their primes. I mean, that we saw what the Chiefs offense did in 2018 alone. Tyreek Hill broke the franchise record for receiving touchdowns and receiving yards in a single season. And Travis Kelce broke the record for most receiving yards in a season by a tight end. It was broken 30 minutes later by Kittle, but Kelce got it back a couple of years later. But my point is, I mean, when you have Kelce and Hill on the field, sometimes there are games where Kelce got a lot of the attention and Hill didn't, statistically speaking. And it would be the other way around, where Hill got a lot of the stats and Kelce didn't. That's just the way the Chiefs offense operated. But Hill was not happy with that. And I know Hill was on a podcast, and I apologize, I don't remember the name of the podcast, and I always want to attribute things to these podcasts, and I'll try to look it up while I'm talking here. But Tyreek Hill, the same offseason after the Dolphins lost to the Chiefs in the playoffs in that cold playoff game, Tyreek Hill was on the Dive Bar podcast. That's what it's called. And I'll read the quote word for word. He said, "I want to win. I was born a winner. My whole entire life, I've been a winner. I hate losing. When we lost against the Chiefs in the playoffs, I wanted to go fucking punch my fucking locker 100 times. Fuck that shit. I was pissed. I want to win. I don't care how much money you got. I want to win. Winning feels good." But then what did he do that same offseason? He got himself a new deal. Do you want to win or do you want money? And listen, I'm not faulting Tyreek Hill for wanting money. The guy's got a billion children, okay? Got a lot of mouths to feed, baby food, diapers, clothes, those things cost a lot of money. And then as your kids get older, you got a lot of college to pay for. I'm not faulting Tyreek Hill for wanting all this money. Like, you want to just ride off into the sunset with your one Super Bowl ring and a bunch of money so you can afford a living essentially for all of these kids? Great. Not a problem. But look what came out today on TMZ. I only saw the headline. I have not bothered to read the article. But Tyreek Hill's ex, and I believe it's Crystal Espinal, the one where those two have a bunch of history with each other. I guess she came out after the loss and was talking about how abusive he was. Man, I don't know what's been going on with Tyreek Hill, but this dude is always involved with something off the field. The Chiefs already took a risk on him when they drafted him back in 2016. And in 2019, there was that really big scare of that child abuse allegation. Now, I know the media did not really do a good job of emphasizing the additional details that later came out about it, but private investigators got involved and made it clear that Tyreek Hill did no wrongdoing. They also authenticated text messages between himself and at the time, his wife. I can't remember if they were married or just engaged, but Crystal Espinal. And she had admitted in text messages about lying. The audio clip was not fairly portrayed by a local media station. But my point is, Tyreek Hill's always involved in some kind of drama. If you trade for him, is there a guarantee that he'll be available for you without drama? Whether it's in his personal life or on the field? Because whenever things don't work well, Tyreek Hill is throwing a tantrum on the sidelines of some sort. I don't know if Andy Reid's prepared to handle that kind of thing. I mean, listen, Andy Reid's up there in age. He's one of the older coaches in the NFL. Generally, people of that age don't have the tolerance for that kind of behavior. And considering the way that things ended for the Chiefs, I think they're pretty serious about trying to bounce back. Look at Travis Kelce and what he's tried to do this offseason with getting in better shape physically, even canceling Kelce Jam this past offseason. Like, Kelce's done a lot of things to really just get away from that, focus on football, and just not be in the eyes of the paparazzi this offseason compared to the offseason before. I just don't know if bringing back Tyreek Hill makes sense because, number one, financially, I don't know if it's doable. Number two, I think the Chiefs have moved on. I truly do. Do they need help at wide receiver? Yeah, they absolutely need help. But I just don't know right now if this is something Kansas City wants to deal with. I think they'd rather move forward with the guys they have or try to get someone else out there that might be on the trading block. I don't think realistically from a Kansas City perspective, and when I say Kansas City perspective, I'm talking about the guys that actually run the organization, Brett Veach, Andy Reid, those guys. I don't think there's a lot of interest from them to reunite with Tyreek Hill. There's no way. All right, some other action across the NFL. The Bengals had a narrow win over the Browns. Listen, a win is a win. No team should ever apologize for winning. The Bengals defense, which has been a liability for them for quite some time now, they pulled through in this one impressively enough. They didn't allow a lot of big plays. They didn't allow a lot of points. They allowed even some of the weaker offenses to go out there and have a great day, essentially letting some bad offenses look like a Hall of Fame unit. Here's the thing, though. Are you going to rely on opposing teams to mishandle the ball and for rookie kickers to choke? Because that might not happen every single game. It might not. Oh, but Farzine, the Chiefs got lucky in a lot of games. Yeah, because the Chiefs have put themselves in certain positions to not rely on opposing teams dropping passes like the Chiefs did a few years ago. The Bengals still have a lot of work to do. Their offense is going to get better. I still have questions about the defense. I don't think their defense has been solved and fixed because they limited a Browns team led by 40-year-old Joe Flacco. No, not one bit. The Raiders beat the Patriots 20-13. That was a surprise to me. I thought the Patriots would win this one. Bowers hurt his knee in this one. Doesn't appear to be anything serious. Ashton Genty, not the greatest debut. 19 carries for 38 yards and a touchdown. I think he had one or two catches as well for short yardage. I guess the Patriots maybe are not ready to rise to the occasion like I thought they would. And maybe it'll get better as the season goes on. But the Raiders still have some work to do. That offensive line did not do Ashton Genty any favors. The knock on Ashton Genty after he got drafted by the Raiders is that he got drafted to a team that does not have a good offensive line. And so far, it hasn't really done well for Genty. The Steelers and the Jets, this was the best game of the week until Sunday Night Football. Jets winning this one 34-32. Chris Boswell had a 60-yard field goal to win the game. Justin Fields had a hell of a game as well. I mean, he put on quite a show. Aaron Rodgers, boy, he looked like he definitely has some fuel left in that tank. 4 touchdowns in this game. And obviously he had a lot to prove. A must-have statement game for him. Not only that, playing against his former team. And after the game, saying, I'm just happy to beat anyone on the Jets. Dude, stop it. They did not owe you anything this past offseason. Listen, good revenge game for Rodgers, but stop it. Listen, I remember when Alex Smith, when he joined the Chiefs, do you think Alex Smith wanted to prove the 49ers wrong for trading him? Absolutely. Do you not think Tyreek Hill wanted so badly to beat the Chiefs the 2 times they played each other in 2023, the Dolphins and the Chiefs? Of course. A lot of times with these trades where you're trading a marquee player, a lot of times the way fans and the media determine who won the trade is based on whether or not they beat their former team. Because if you can beat your former team, then the team that acquired the player essentially won the trade. But Tyreek Hill's 0-2 against the Chiefs. And obviously the Chiefs have been to the Super Bowl every year without him. But my point is, a lot of times with these kinds of things, you want to prove your former team wrong. Here's my thing with Aaron Rodgers. That organization, the Jets, they bent the knee and did everything you asked for. They reunited you with all of your buddies from the Packers. And now you have the audacity to say, oh, I'm so glad I beat my former team. Listen, I have no doubt about it, but because you feel like that because they said they didn't think you were worth keeping around. I mean, I get it. 4 touchdowns is a great look, but you didn't give them a reason to keep you. You gave them every reason to want to move on from you. Maybe if you had that 4 touchdown game often with the Jets, they would have kept, you'd still be a Jet. Saleh would still be a head coach. So drop the pettiness a little bit. It's not like they had a valid reason to keep you to begin with. And listen, I'm glad the Steelers won. I'm glad Rodgers had his day. He's had a phenomenal career and he deserved this moment, but stop the pettiness. Broncos 20, Titans 12. Not the most impressive showing in Cam Ward's debut. The Denver offense wasn't great either. They dealt with some boo birds at home. But man, they pulled through. No one's talking about this play. RJ Harvey, this was a rookie running back that I really wanted in Kansas City. Showcase his speed at the scouting combine and during his time at UCF. He looks good. This guy looks like he could be a problem for opposing defenses for sure. One other surprise to me this week, Packers Lions. Listen, I don't think it was, I said the Lions would win this, but it wasn't a stretch to say the Packers would win, but the way they did it, that was a surprise. It was 27-17, but the Lions had a garbage time touchdown with less than a minute to go in the game. The Packers defense, boy, did they have some fun out there. Micah Parsons even got in on the fun with the sack. The Packers offense didn't necessarily dominate this game, but they managed and controlled this for sure. Listen, I know the big knock on Detroit this year is that they lost their coordinators, and that was going to really be a big difference for Detroit this year. And I don't know if I'm ready to believe that yet. This first game, though, certainly backs up all of those people who predicted that. And again, keep in mind, this is week 1. No one's crowned a Super Bowl champion in week 1. In my opinion, I think after 3 weeks, you do have a really good understanding of who teams are. Yeah, there might be one team that has a good record and they might blow that away. And then you have one team that is off to a slow start and they find a way to come back and make the playoffs. Most years you see that. But man, the Lions, this is not the start they want, because given that the Packers just got Micah Parsons and they beat the Lions, the reigning NFC North champions, and the team that had the number 1 seed last year, this is big for the Packers, because this game down the line could have serious playoff implications and might turn the Lions into either a wild card team or maybe a team that may miss the playoffs. Listen, some head coaches lose coordinators. We saw this a lot with Belichick in New England, but they've always find a way to manage and get through. Andy Reid, he's lost some offensive coordinators over the years. And I know there's a lot of talk about Nagy now compared to past coordinators like Bieniemy, but they're still winning a lot of games, are they not? They're still reaching the Super Bowl, right? So we'll see how that goes for Detroit moving forward. But a couple other things I do want to talk about here. But before we get into that, I want to give you guys a little reminder. Obviously, this past weekend, the Duran Cherry Foundation, they hosted their game day watch party at Holiday Distillery at Weston, Missouri. I was not there, but was happy to be a sponsor of that. Did see some pictures. Looked like people had a great time. So for those of you who were there, hopefully you enjoyed that. There is another nice event coming up with the Duran Cherry Foundation. This will take place on Saturday, September the 27th, 2025. The Care for KC Celebrity Tailgate with a live auction that'll take place. I was there for this last year. This was a really great event. The money all goes to a great cause. If you haven't gotten your tickets for this yet, go to the DuranCherryFoundation.org. Look for the Celebrity Tailgate event on one of the tabs up top on the website, and you can get your tickets from there. Also, you want to play some golf, work on your golf game, and rub elbows with some famous people. The Celebrity Golf Tournament also will take place a couple of days after the Celebrity Tailgate. That'll be Monday through Tuesday, September the 29th and 30th. So that'll be at the end of this month. So the Duran Cherry Foundation, they've got a couple of really exciting events coming up at the end of the month. And if you want tickets to the tailgate, the golf tournament, or both, go to the DuranCherryFoundation.org. Look for the tabs at the top of the website on your screen, and you can get your tickets from the DuranCherryFoundation.org website. All right. A couple other things before we get out of here. Let's talk a little bit about the Philly game. Obviously, this is a big deal. Philadelphia wants to go out there and win again. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl. That's the bigger game. But we heard all yesterday during the pregame show and during the game when the Ravens were dominating. And everyone talked about how this is a game, a revenge game for Baltimore. Yeah, maybe one, it may be the regular season, but getting that revenge game because the now matters more than the past. That's important. Jalen Hurts even said in an interview, yeah, we won the Super Bowl, but no one cares about that anymore. We're now moving on and we want to do it again. People are always going to talk about the now than the past. So the Chiefs definitely want a revenge game. They want to win against Philly, and Philly wants to prevent that. For starters, the Chiefs need to look at least prepared in this game. That Super Bowl, I mean, it got out of control. Didn't get out of control right away. It wasn't like the Eagles got off to that hot start in the first quarter. It was 7-0 at the end of the first. The first 5 Eagles drives, they punted, they scored a touchdown, they threw a pick, a field goal, and punted again. That was before the pick six. Or no, I'm sorry. The pick six was towards the end of that. That's when it started to get out of control. And then when Mahomes threw that second interception, that's when it was pretty much determined that the Eagles were going to win and prevent the three-peat. You got to come out looking prepared compared to that game. The mentality needs to change. Prove you belong in the fight. Prove that you can compete with them. Put yourself in position to have a chance to win this in the fourth quarter, like you have in many games with Patrick Mahomes. Defensively, a lot of things have to change. Coverage has to change. Spying on Hurts is a must. You thought Justin Herbert had an easy time running against the Chiefs? Hurts will do it better than Herbert. So the Chiefs need to be prepared for that. Offensively, relax. The offensive line has a lot of room to improve, but I will say this. I think the offensive line looked better Friday night than they did in a lot of games last year. Listen, I was encouraged by Josh Simmons. Obviously, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, they were good. Jawan Taylor continues his penalty mishaps and has his inconsistent days of blocking. Kingsley Suamataia is the weak link on that line right now. But I still think this offensive line looked better than they did in a lot of games last year. Definitely looked better than the offensive line in Super Bowl 59. I will say that right now. I just think at the end of the day, the offense tends to overthink things, in my opinion. Even without Worthy and Rice, you do have what it takes to advance the football, move forward, and play your game. So hopefully the Chiefs can come up with a good game plan, whether Worthy is available or not. Before I get out of here, there is a little bit of news that's kind of gone under the radar with the Chiefs today. This came out this morning. And let me just attribute the right person for this piece of information. Because if you haven't heard already, the Chiefs love to play internationally. Shane Brennan, who is from Ireland and does a lot of sports media, NFL media in Ireland, he tweeted that a Chiefs executive has said that Kansas City will be putting their hand up to play in Ireland in 2026. There will also be a Chiefs immersive experience for fans in Dublin the week of the Croke Park NFL game. It's funny because as I was reading this piece of news that came out, I was listening to Bill Moss do an interview on local radio, and he even said the players don't like this international stuff. They don't. Listen, nobody likes people love to travel and go on vacation. Nobody likes to get on an airplane, whether it's for 3 hours or 12 hours or more. Now, the way I understand it, this would be an away game for the Chiefs. Here's something that I don't know if anyone in the media has really asked. Financially, what benefit does the NFL get in all of this? I'm sure they're gaining something out of it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing this, especially with the way they're aggressively pursuing these international games. They're going to more and more countries every year. But the jet lag, yeah, a couple of you guys talking about the jet lag. You're taking games out of the United States and sending them to other countries. I've never been a big fan of the international series. Yeah, I mean, Robert, I see you. You're representing Down Under, which I always appreciate when people say they listen to the podcast from other countries. But is the Premier League, are they bringing their biggest games to the United States year in and year out? I mean, the NFL has this big focus on wanting to take games internationally. And you're taking home games away. Potential, like the Chiefs Dolphins game. And look, it didn't end up mattering too much because they ended up playing another game that year in the playoffs. But that's not a game that should ever be played outside of Arrowhead or Hard Rock Cafe Stadium. That should always be a game as big as that should always be played in the U.S. Could you imagine if last night's game between the Ravens and the Bills, if that was played in another country? Look at the Chiefs and Rams several years ago. They were supposed to play in Mexico, but because of bad field conditions in Mexico City, they ended up moving it back to LA. And they had one hell of a night. Both teams scoring in the 50s. Like, could you imagine if that game was played in Mexico and you took that game away from one of the home stadiums in the NFL? See, everyone's saying it's all about the money. I get it, but what money are you making internationally that you can't make here? Those specifics, I would like to see those specifics. And by the way, like I listen, I get it. Every business, every entity that exists will always want more money. Even if they can find a way to be 1% better financially, they'll always go for it. But in the NFL, are you that desperate for more money? Like, the NFL is already generating all kinds of money. Hector said, who said it wouldn't have been a good game in Mexico? I never said that. I'm just saying, imagine if it was that good in Mexico and you took that game away from the people of LA. Listen, here's my thing. I don't think the NFL should have ever done away with NFL Europe. Now, I get it. In these NFL international games, you're getting Patrick Mahomes, you're getting Justin Herbert, and all of these other players. And listen, no disrespect to Damon Heward. He was on the podcast last year, and we talked about NFL Europe because he played in NFL Europe for a year. But I get it. The people of Europe and all of these other NFL fans internationally, they don't want to see a Damon Heward. They don't want to see a Chris Oladokun. They don't want to see that. They want to see a real game. But I feel like they're focusing maybe too much on the international series. It used to be just one game a year, then 2 London games, then 3 London games, and now we're adding Germany, and now it's in several countries. You're taking home games away from your own stadium. John said send Jawan Taylor to NFL Europe. Yeah, so I'd like that. Should have left him in Brazil. Joshua says greed in response to my question about the NFL needing even more. Like, yeah, sure. I mean, listen, the NFL was already making a bunch of money, but now they're making even more money because they have all of these different deals with streaming services. And it's not just one exclusive streaming service. You have Prime, you have YouTube TV for Sunday Ticket, ESPN Plus for some exclusive games on there, Peacock for a playoff game, regular YouTube. It's like, you know, listen, there are a lot of media outlets, like when they want to promote with a sports book like DraftKings. Part of the contract is you can't promote with other sports books. But look at the NFL. They're out here grabbing all this money and partnering with all of these different streaming services. And by the way, I didn't have this written down yet, and I said I wanted to get into this, and I'll get into it right now. There was some confusion going into Friday's game as to how you could watch this game, and I created a little graphic to help clarify things. And I helped tell people, you do not need YouTube TV. People thought this was a subscription you needed to have. You just need to be able to watch this on YouTube. Unless you live in Kansas City or Los Angeles, you were able to watch it on one of the local stations. And I believe for both Kansas City and LA, it was the local NBC affiliate. I guess KNBC, not KNBC, which is in Kansas City, KNBC in LA. That happens to be the home of the Chargers. So anyone that lived in LA was able to watch through that channel. Now, because of the way the NFL likes to do business, they like to mislead people. So when they say, oh, yeah, you need to watch it on YouTube, they would not clarify YouTube over YouTube TV. There were a lot of people who thought that you had to get a YouTube TV subscription. And the NFL they love that. They love when people get confused because that forces them to get a subscription they don't need. They did this with the Peacock playoff game between the Chiefs and Dolphins. A lot of people did not realize this right away, but if you lived in Kansas City or Miami, you were able to watch that game on a local NBC affiliate because Peacock is under NBC Universal. But if you remember watching the Week 18 halftime show when they announced a postseason schedule, Chris Sims is on there. Oh, nope, you have to have Peacock. Can't watch it anywhere else. You have to have Peacock. They would not clarify for the people of Miami and KC that, hey, you guys get it on a local station, because they know that a majority of the viewers for that playoff game were going to be from KC and Miami. But they wanted as many people from those two fan bases that live in those two markets to be confused and think that they needed to get Peacock. That's the NFL, man. They want to mislead you. And if they can make a buck because somebody who's maybe not as tech savvy or well versed with all the online stuff with social media and streaming services, they benefit from that. They benefit from people who got confused and subscribed to YouTube TV when they did not want to. And now you have the Chiefs who want to go back and play another international game this year. Dude, listen, if you want bad grades on the NFLPA report card, have at it. That's up to you. Because the way I see it, you have the NFL loves to talk about player safety. Oh, player safety. We care about player safety. Bullshit, you care about player safety. If you really cared that much about player safety, you would not be scheduling all of these international games, especially for some teams, doing it in back-to-back weeks. Listen, what NFL team wants to play in London 2 weeks in a row? I mean, those people are away from their families, their kids, like their lives. Listen, if this was the off season and they're, traveling, enjoying life, leisure, that kind of thing, that's different. But dude, like the NFL's really got to chill out here. Ryan says, I can't believe the refs tricked all of those people to sign up for YouTube TV. Boy, those refs really have a lot of control these days. They really do. Listen, I'm never going to shame an organization or a business for wanting to get more money. Every business should want to attain that. But if you're the NFL, man, what is the need for more? And like, aren't you already like on top of the top? I mean, you are above the mountain at this point already. But they've got to have more. And they've got to push all these things that they really don't need. The last thing I'll say on this, the Chiefs social media team, they always like to put their the smartphone here on a tripod, and they'll have a piece of paper underneath, and it'll ask a simple question like, what did you have for breakfast today? Or what was the last movie you watched? And fans love that because you get to see a personable side, a relatable side to these players. And in training camp, one of the questions was for the TikTok, start, bench, cut, SNF, MNF, and TNF, referring to the primetime nights. A couple players did not know what that meant, which was funny. Dude, every player said, cut Thursday Night Football. Every single player was like, yeah, do away with Thursday night games. These are players that are saying this. And Clark Hunt, who's part of the international committee, I get it. Dude, your own players don't want this, but you want it for some reason. Like Bill Moss said, these players do not care about the international thing. When Patrick Mahomes is doing that press conference saying, oh yeah, we're so excited to play for the Brazilian fans and the whole world, they do not give a damn about those people. And that's not any disrespect to those people. Of course they want fans all over. That's how they make more money. But the whole travel and obligation to do all, yeah, that's where I think the NFL thinks they're really selling something, where the players, they're told by the PR guys, hey, you got to say all this, just sell a buck. That's the NFL for you. All right. That'll do it for this episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed this. A lot of viewers here. We've never had this many viewers for one podcast live concurrently. So huge shout outs to all of you guys. Big thank you. Let's keep that going. The next time we will have an episode will be Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. We will break down the game between the Chiefs and the Eagles. I also have a very special guest. I'm going to have on Jody McDonald. Jody McDonald is part of Infinity Sports Radio, also used to be called CBS Sports Radio. I've been a guest on his show many times, and now we're going to reverse things here. He's going to be finally a guest on my podcast. This guy has been doing sports talk radio nationally and locally in Philadelphia for a very long time. This guy has a very interesting background in just sports in general. You'll want to hear about his backstory with his father being an executive in Major League Baseball and how he got into sports talk radio. He's been involved in it for a very long time. I'm very excited to talk to Jody Mack. He's got one of the best national shows in sports talk radio, and I'm very excited to talk to him on Wednesday. Also, this Friday, we will have the Red Friday Q&A live chat. So do not miss that. And then Sunday, we will have the pregame live chat exactly 4 hours before kickoff. So 3:25 Central Time, that's when the game kicks off. We will be live 11:25 Central Time. We will do our last live stream before the game, talk about all of that, and then later on in the day, we will have our halftime live stream. We'll recap the first half. Hopefully the game's not over by then. And then at the conclusion of the game, following the game, we will do the Chiefs Zone podcast live. I'll have the link for you guys to call in like we did on Friday. A lot of you guys called in, a lot of you guys commented, and I greatly appreciate that. If you heard it and you wanted to call in, but you didn't have a chance, maybe it was too late, maybe your kids, your wife, husband, whoever was asleep and you didn't want to wake them up, totally understandable. You will have an opportunity to call in after Sunday's game. It'll be, late afternoon, early evening, so maybe more people will call into that. So hopefully we'll hear from more of you on Sunday. Wednesday, so I'm not allowed to say anything right now, but I'll give you one quick teaser for Wednesday's podcast. I'm going to have an opportunity to do something that not a lot of people will have. And I'm going to give you guys an inside look at something you will want to know about. I know it's confusing. I can't say it right now. But trust me, listen to Wednesday's podcast because we're going to start with that subject, unless we've got some serious news to go over that day. But you'll want to listen at the start of the podcast, 7 p.m. Central Time. Also, I teased this last week. We do have some big news coming to announce regarding the podcast and the live streams. Stay tuned for all of that. I'm Farzin Vasugian. Thank you all once again. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.